The relationship between the United States and China has long been a complex interplay of cooperation and competition. However, recent events have pushed the two superpowers closer to the brink, raising concerns about a new Cold War. China's declaration of readiness for any type of war has sent shockwaves through the international community. This assertive stance from Beijing is seen as a response to escalating pressure from Washington on multiple fronts, including trade, technology, and security. The United States has accused China of unfair trade practices, intellectual property theft, and human rights abuses. The Biden administration, while seeking to recalibrate the U.S. approach to China, has largely maintained a tough stance. This sustained pressure, coupled with China's growing economic and military might, has created a volatile mix, increasing the risk of miscalculation and conflict. It is crucial to understand the historical context, the key drivers of tension, and the potential consequences of unchecked escalation. The roots of the current crisis can be traced back to the trade war initiated by the Trump administration in 2018. Citing concerns over China's trade surplus and alleged intellectual property theft, the United States imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods. China retaliated, imposing tariffs on a range of American products, including agricultural goods, automobiles, and aircraft. This tit-for-tat exchange quickly escalated into a full-blown trade war, disrupting global supply chains and dampening economic growth in both countries. The trade war exposed deep-seated imbalances in the United States-China economic relationship. While China benefited from access to the vast American consumer market, the United States grew increasingly concerned about China's state-led economic model. Despite the rhetoric of decoupling, the United States and China remain deeply intertwined, with businesses and consumers on both sides reliant on goods and services from the other. The tariffs caused pain on both sides of the Pacific, hurting businesses, consumers, and the global economy as a whole. Beyond trade, the United States and China are locked in an intense competition for technological supremacy. This rivalry encompasses sectors like artificial intelligence, 5G telecommunications, quantum computing, and biotechnology. The stakes are high, as technological leadership is crucial for economic competitiveness and national security. The United States has accused China of using unfair means, such as cyber espionage and forced technology transfer, to acquire technological know-how. The Biden administration has continued to restrict Chinese access to sensitive technologies, fearing they could be used for military purposes. China has invested heavily in research and development, aiming to become a global leader in key technological fields. The technological competition between the United States and China has spilled over into other domains, including cybersecurity and space exploration. Both countries are engaged in a cyber arms race, developing sophisticated hacking tools and cyber defenses. In recent years, China has been rapidly modernizing its military, investing heavily in advanced weaponry, including hypersonic missiles, stealth fighters, and aircraft carriers. This military buildup has raised alarms in the region and beyond, fueling concerns about China's territorial ambitions. China's assertive actions in the South China Sea, where it has built artificial islands and deployed military assets, have heightened tensions with neighboring countries and the United States. The United States has conducted freedom of navigation operations in the disputed waters, challenging China's claims. China's military exercises near Taiwan have also increased in frequency and intensity, raising fears of a potential invasion. The United States has committed to defending Taiwan, providing it with arms sales and military support. As China's economic and military might grow, it seeks to assert its influence and reshape the international order in its favor. The U.S. response to China's rise has been characterized by a growing bipartisan consensus that China poses a serious challenge to American interests and values. Both Democrats and Republicans agree on the need to take a tough stance on China, although they differ on the specific tactics and approaches. The Trump administration's approach was confrontational, emphasizing tariffs, sanctions, and decoupling. The Biden administration, while seeking to rebuild alliances and engage diplomatically, has also maintained a firm stance on China. The U.S. has sought to strengthen its alliances in the Indo-Pacific region, partnering with countries like Japan, South Korea, Australia, and India to counter China's growing influence. The quadrilateral security dialogue, involving the U.S., Japan, Australia, and India, has gained new prominence as a platform for coordinating policy on China. The US military has also shifted its focus to the Indo-Pacific, deploying more troops and assets to the region and conducting joint exercises with allies. The US Navy has maintained a regular presence in the South China Sea, conducting freedom of navigation operations and challenging China's claims. This bipartisan consensus reflects a recognition of the strategic challenge posed by China's rise. The US approach to China will continue to evolve, but the underlying consensus on the need to address the challenge is likely to endure. The escalating tensions between the United States and China have had significant economic ramifications, both for the two countries and for the global economy. The trade war, technological competition, and geopolitical rivalry have disrupted supply chains, dampened investment, and fueled uncertainty in global markets. American farmers have been hit hard by Chinese tariffs on agricultural goods, while American manufacturers have faced higher costs for imported Chinese components. Chinese businesses have also suffered from reduced access to the American market and disruptions in global supply chains. The technological competition has further fragmented the global tech industry. The US restrictions on Chinese tech companies like Huawei have limited their access to key technologies and markets. Chinese companies in turn have sought to develop their own indigenous technologies, leading to a bifurcation of the global tech ecosystem. The geopolitical rivalry has also created uncertainty for businesses operating in both countries. Companies are facing pressure to choose sides, with the US government urging American businesses to reduce their reliance on China and diversify their supply chains. This decoupling, however, is complex and costly, and it remains to be seen how far it will go. The escalating tensions between the United States and China have sparked intense debate among experts, with a wide range of views on the nature of the rivalry, the risks of conflict, and the prospects for cooperation. Some experts argue that the United States and China are locked in a new Cold War, characterized by ideological competition, geopolitical rivalry, and a high risk of military conflict. They point to the growing mistrust between the two countries, the buildup of military forces in the Indo-Pacific, and the increasing frequency of dangerous incidents. Other experts caution against overstating the parallels with the Cold War. They argue that the US-China relationship is far more complex and multifaceted than the US-Soviet rivalry, with deep economic interdependence and common challenges such as climate change. There is also a diversity of views on how the United States should manage its relationship with China. Some advocate for a confrontational approach, arguing that China's rise poses an existential threat to the US-led international order. Others favor a more nuanced approach, emphasizing the need for both competition and cooperation, engagement and deterrence. Despite the escalating tensions and the risk of conflict, diplomatic avenues for dialogue and de-escalation remain open. Both the United States and China have expressed a willingness to engage in talks and find ways to manage their differences peacefully. The two countries have held a number of high-level meetings in recent years, including summits between President Biden and President Xi Jinping. These meetings have helped to stabilize the relationship and prevent a further deterioration of ties. There are also areas where the United States and China have overlapping interests and could potentially cooperate, such as climate change, pandemic preparedness, and nuclear non-proliferation. However, there are significant obstacles to diplomatic progress. The United States and China have deep-seated differences on issues such as human rights, Taiwan, and the South China Sea. This lack of trust makes it difficult to negotiate in good faith and find mutually acceptable solutions. The escalating tensions between the United States and China pose a serious threat to global peace and stability. The risk of miscalculation, accident, or escalation is real, and the consequences of conflict would be devastating. It is therefore imperative that both sides exercise restraint, avoid provocative actions, and keep channels of communication open. Dialogue, diplomacy, and a willingness to compromise are essential for managing this complex and consequential relationship. The United States and China must find ways to coexist peacefully and manage their differences responsibly. This will require a combination of competition and cooperation, deterrence, and engagement. The future of the US-China relationship will have profound implications for the world. A stable and constructive relationship between the two superpowers is essential for addressing global challenges and ensuring a more peaceful and prosperous future for all.